Welcome back to the series. This is going to be the third and final video discussing the different considerations that you might have when you're deciding what to do in the short term here to mitigate potential tax implications and set yourself up for long-term success if you do have a decent holding in digital assets. So again, these are some of the considerations I've written here. This is just a general scenario. Nothing here is financial advice. It's all for entertainment and educational purposes only. Always consult with your financial advisor, estate planner, CPA before making any final decisions. So we'll get into it. This individual is 32 years old. They have a very high income. They live in New York or California. $300,000 a year. They are single, no family, no kids. They set themselves up pretty good. They rent an apartment in New York or California. They do not own their home, like some of the other people that we've talked about before this. And their objective is to establish and set themselves up so that they can make sure that they're in a position, once they do get married, to set their family up for generational wealth and creating a legacy. Their current investment in digital assets is $150,000. And so, longer time horizon than somebody else that's a bit older in age, like the two previous videos. If you're 45 or if you're 65, if you've got a protracted time horizon, this person doesn't necessarily need the income today, right? They can hold these digital assets for an extended period of time, wait for the appreciation to happen. So their immediacy of action to set things up probably isn't as great as somebody that might be, looking to leverage the assets to reduce income faster, or, might be looking to retire sooner. This person's a bit younger. So high income, the consideration here that may play into why they would want to establish an LLC or a trust now are two things. So again, they've got $150K. This is all outside. It's all non-qualified assets. It's not an IRA or a 401k or another investment vehicle. This is in their personal possession that they've made these investments. And then the location where they live. So California and New York in particular inhibits your ability to purchase a lot of different digital assets. It's the most stringent financial jurisdiction here in the U.S. Those two states have the highest state taxes here in the U.S. So with that consideration, this person may want to set up an LLC if they're going to continue purchasing. They believe that the assets, let's say they did 100x from where they're at, they're going to be looking at $15 million. That is above the gift tax threshold here in the U.S. of $12.92 million. You're probably going to want to keep a portion of the digital assets that you have in your personal name in an LLC, move it into an LLC outside of a trust, just because, and I think I mentioned this in another video, when you set things up, paying taxes on the income earned by the trust is cheaper to do at a corporate level. So it's often nice to have some type of management LLC or corporation that is paying the taxes on behalf of the trust to allow the assets that are invested in the trust to continue to appreciate and be traded with no tax implications. They compound much faster in that vehicle if it's done that way. So, if this person just left it as is, let's say they did get 100x on their investments, you got 15 million, maybe they do move the 12.92 million into the trust. They keep, what would that be? 2.1 million left there in the LLC. They can put that to work in some capacity in order to generate income. Same thing with the assets in the trust. And maybe they use all of the income in the LLC to pay the taxes on behalf of the trust and allow the assets there to continue to compound at a significantly faster rate. Anyway, so let's pull it back. Why would they set up an LLC in Wyoming or a trust in Wyoming? What benefits would that have? Well, for this individual, they're not married yet. So setting up a trust now can be very advantageous to make sure that they're not going to be commingling those assets with whoever they do marry later on. Obviously you want to have a good prenup lawyer. That's something that we can help you with at Digital Ascension Group when the time comes for you. If that is a necessity, we have great connections there. But if you are going to be able to, get your things into a trust previous to the marriage or even entering to that relationship, you're really mitigating any of those risks for other people's ability to, maybe come into the relationship with poor intentions. Things happen. I'm not saying people have poor intentions. I'm just saying that there are gold diggers out there, men and women, not just on the female side. This obviously I didn't designate sex here. This could be a male or female that's making this income at this age with these investments. And you just want to protect yourself. And that's really what it is. You just want to mitigate risk and set yourself up for success. So with the amount of income that this person has, their investments in digital assets and their situation, they have a lot of different options. If they did have the income and the means, setting up a trust now is likely a really good option for them. Again, price point on that's going to be somewhere between $3,000 and $25,000, depending on where they set the trust up and all of the bells and whistles associated with it. We often see people here in the U.S. setting things up as a Wyoming Digital Asset Protection Trust. We have capability to help you with that if that's something you're interested in. But in the LLC, why would they want to do that? Well, that would mitigate the potential state taxes that could be involved and would allow them the capability to have much more ease in purchasing the assets through an account established in the LLC's name versus, especially if they live there in New York. You're probably, again, going to have a VPN that broadcasts to Colorado or Wyoming or wherever, a closer spot to where you filed the LLC. But in doing so, you would be uninhibited in your capability to purchase other assets or create exchange accounts that you might not have the capability to do there in New York. So just some of the considerations for this individual. They really have a wide variety of options because of the level of their income and their position versus some of the other people we discussed before. They don't have kids yet. They don't have a wife yet. They don't have a mortgage yet. They may not have a ton of other debts. They're just earlier on in their life and their journey. And again, they can have a higher risk profile, or their risk profile would be leaning more toward high risk versus somebody that might be closer to retirement, wanting to make sure that they have wealth preservation versus wealth creation. So they can take more risk with their investments and set themselves up for the long term. And if they lose it, then they have a lot of time to make it up because they do have a high income. This individual would also be considered accredited. Here in the U.S., if they had that income for 2 years, they would have the capability to get access to private equity and those types of investments. They obviously, and they may have other accounts, we didn't discuss that here. They might have, 401k or other investment accounts in other places. They might own real estate outside of where they rent. They could have other assets that qualified them as accredited if that amount was beyond $1 million, because obviously, they don't have equity in a home because they rent. So anyway, if this is you, if this meets some of the criteria, again, would love to work with you, help you establish in the state, be proactive with your digital assets here in the short term. You have a lot of options in comparison to some of the other people. You could even just leave this in your personal name. Again, the only consideration there is going to be the ability to take profits when it comes time. You're not going to be able to reduce those tax implications. This person might have held these digital assets longer than a year. If they have, they're in long-term capital gains. If they purchased them in the last 12 months, it's going to be short-term capital gains when they do liquidate those positions. So you just got to be cognizant of those, those decisions. And again, because they already have such a high income and they are located in those states, it's probably really in their best interest to go ahead and establish at least an LLC outside of those jurisdictions so that they can use the income that they are going to cash out if they are going to take profits. Again, longer time horizon, they may not even take profits this cycle. We'll see. But if they did choose to do so, that's going to put them in a really high tax bracket because of their income already. Unless it was long-term capital gains, then it's going to be, if you're over 550, you're going to be looking at 20% of those. But again, some people, it's up to them. They may just want to pay that and go on about their business, not worry about it. If you are concerned with mitigating tax implications and making sure those assets are protected and the income that you receive is going to be, fostering this generational wealth like this individual, an LLC here in the short term would be kind of the minimum criteria. And because of their income and their situation, I think a trust would probably be in their best interest. So went through a lot. I know it's like drinking through a fire hose on some of these. If you need to watch it again, please go back and do so if you have any questions. Comment below. Let me know if these are helpful for you guys. We're happy to run more situations and create other series like this. If you do want to schedule a consult with us, you can do that right here. And if you want to check out other videos in the series, that's going to be right here. And with that, we'll let it go. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.